on Kingdom Protista, focusing on the different major clades and somehow the diversity of protists. Now, just like what I said last time, no, protists are eukaryotic organisms that do not fit neatly into plant, into animal, or fungi kingdoms. But despite being mostly microscopic, no, they play very important roles in our ecosystems and, of course, the human health and in global processes like oxygen production. Okay, so today we will discuss the following major groups. We have the Euglenozoa, the Alveolata, the Straminopila, the red and green algae, the slime molds, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's begin with the different major clades and the diversity of protists. At this point in the lecture, now we continue the clade Euglenozoa. Okay, so it is equipped with flagella for locomotion and chiefly autotrophic. Some are mixotrophic and heterotrophic. So Euglenozoans are mostly aquatic protists recognized by their flagella. No, and just like what I've said during our past discussion, no, and I think we all know that when we talk about flagella, it talks about the movement, the motion, the locomotion of a specific thing. Now, flagella is a long whip-like structures used for, again, just like what I've said, for the locomotion. Flagella also allow these organisms to move actively rather than drifting passively. Now, what makes Euglenozoa especially important is their nutritional flexibility. Now, what's the meaning of nutritional flexibility? Now, many are autotrophic. So when we say autotrophic, they are able or they are capable of performing photosynthesis. Now, some are mixotrophic. When we say mixotrophic, meaning they can photosynthesize when the light is available and switch to heterotrophic feeding when light is absent. And of course, others are completely heterotrophic. Now, this nutritional flexibility, or what we call the flexibility, allows them to survive, to survive in unstable environments such as stagnant ponds and, of course, in polluted waters. Now, to make it easier for you to understand, para mas maintindihan natin siya, gawa natin siya ng analogy. Okay, so think of mixotrophs as organisms with a backup power source. Again, think of mixotrophs as organisms with a backup power source. So if sunlight is unavailable, then they might switch or they can switch feeding modes. Kapag hindi available si light, pwede silang magbago ng mode and so on and so forth. Okay? Now, within Euglenozoa, on we focus on kinetoplastids. Now, kinetoplastids characterized by a unique structure called the kinetoplast. Again, kinetoplastids is an example of Euglenozoa, and it can be characterized by a unique structure called the kinetoplast. Now, this is a dense mass of DNA located inside a single and enlarged mitochondrion. Now, the kinetoplast is involved in energy regulation, and it is essential for survival, especially in parasitic species. Now, many kinetoplastids are parasitic. What does it mean? Again, many kinetoplastids are parasitic, meaning they depend on a host organism for nutrients. Okay, so because of their disease-causing ability, the kinetoplastids are important, of course, not in medical biology. Now, let's have an analogy again. So for an analogy, the kinetoplast is like a power plant control room. Now, bakit siya naging power plant control room? Simply, it regulates energy production, which is critical no, for survival. Okay. Now, a representative kinetoplastid is Trypanosoma, which cause African sleeping sickness, and it is spread by the bite of tsetse fly, or kung ano mang pronunciation nyo, pwedeng tsetse fly, and so on and so forth. Okay. So the parasite, again, just like what you are seeing in the PowerPoint, the parasite is transmitted by the tsetse fly. Now, after entering the bloodstream, now paano ba? Paano nga ba kumakalat or paano nga ba nangyayari itong sakit na to? Now, after entering the bloodstream, it multiplies rapidly. So pagkapasok pa lang sa bloodstream natin, nag-multiply na siya agad in an instant. Okay? And in later stages, it invades the CNS, or what we call now the central nervous system, causing severe neurological symptoms and sleep disturbances. Now, take note of this, that without treatment, the disease is fatal. So pwede siyang maging reason ng pagkamatay ng isang tao. Now, given this information, no, these organisms show how protists can directly affect human survival. Okay? So again, let's have an analogy for us to understand it easily. No? So the parasite acts like an intruder that first occupies the bloodstream. Then later on, it attacks now the control center, which is the brain. Okay? So ganun siya ka-dangerous, lalong-lalo na sa mga tao. Okay? Next, we now move to alveolata. So when we say alveolata, it is unicellular protist with subsurface cavities, or what we call the alveoli. Okay? So alveolata is a unicellular protist characterized by, sabi ko, alveoli. It is a flattened membrane-bound sacs beneath the cell membrane. Now, these structures provide mechanical support, and also it helps to maintain the cell shape. Now, take note that despite the different lifestyles, alveolates share this feature. And as you can see, we have three major groups. We have the dinoflagellata, the apicomplexa, and the ciliophora. First, let's proceed with dinoflagellates. Okay, so dinoflagellates, as you can see, the components of phytoplankton. Most are unicellular and some are colonial. And then action of flagella produces a spinning movement. Now, dinoflagellates are unicellular. No, they are unicellular protists and a major components of phytoplankton. Now, take note that dinoflagellates possess two flagella arranged in groups. So their coordinated movement produces a spinning motion or spinning movement, allowing controlled swimming. Okay, so you need to take note also that dinoflagellates, many of them are photosynthetic, while others are heterotrophic. Okay, so they also play a key role as primary producers in aquatic ecosystem. So you can think of it like their movement is like a spinning top moving through water. Okay, so again, most are unicellular and some are colonial. What does it mean? Anong ibig sabihin kapag unicellular sila, and anong ibig sabihin kapag colonial? So it means that mostly are single-celled and some live in groups, thus all have tiny sacs under their cell surface. Okay? Now, this image shows also the structure of a dinoflagellate, which is a type of alveolata. So let's try to break down each part and its function. Ano nga bang ibig sabihin ng plate, okay, ng flagella, ng sulcus, and so on and so forth. Okay? So first, let's talk about epitheca. Okay, the first structure is the epitheca. Epitheca, as you can see, is the upper shell or covering of the cell. So of course, since siya yung nagko-cover sa cell, the function of it is to protect. Okay, so it protects the dinoflagellate. That's the epitheca. Okay, next we have the hypotheca. So hypotheca naman, it is the lower shell or the lower covering. Also, no, it provides protection. Katulad lang siya ni epitheca. And then the third one, we have the cingulum. Okay, so cingulum is a groove that wraps around the middle of the cell. Okay, so the transverse flagellum sits here, which helps the cell spin or move forward. Okay, and then for the fourth structure, we have the sulcus. Okay, so a sulcus, a groove running from top to bottom. So the longitudinal flagellum sits here, which also helps the cell to move like a tail. So it helps the cell to move like a tail. And then next we have the flagella. Again, katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, flagella is a long whip-like structures and they help the cell to move in water. Basta when we talk about flagella, it talks about movement, it talks about locomotion. Okay, and then we also have the flagellar pores. Okay, so when we say flagellal pores, no, pag pores ang pinag-uusapan natin, does it's like an opening. Okay? So openings, it is an openings where flagella come out of the cell. So ito yung opening kung saan po lumalabas ang mga flagella. Okay? That's flagellar pores. And then next we have the plate. So plate is part of the hard covering which provides the structure of a cell. Okay, again, the plate is a part of the hard covering which provides structure of the cell. And of course, the last one is the suture. Okay, it is the line or seam where the plates of the cell fit together. Okay, so let's summarize the different functions. No, so we have the epitheca and the hypotheca. Okay, so the epitheca and hypotheca protect the cell. Now, the cingulum and the sulcus with flagella help the cell move and spin in water. Again, the cingulum and sulcus with flagella help the cell move and spin in water. And in the last two, the plates and sutures, it gives the structural support of the cell. Okay, so those are the different structures of a dinoflagellate and their functions. Now, dinoflagellate blooms cause red tides in coastal waters, and then toxins are produced by some red tide organisms. Now, under favorable conditions, the dinoflagellates reproduce rapidly, causing blooms. Now, some blooms result in red tides, which may release toxins. And as we all know, toxins can kill